Yo, what's up guys? Welcome to another Shamshir Sound video. My name is Ali Nadem. Today we're going to be going over a mastering tip, a little trick that I've learned, and this is going to be really beneficial if you guys want to do the mastering all in one project. You don't want to bounce the stems. You just want to do everything in one project and just make things a bit easier. And what I'm referring to in this topic is going to be Headroom. So before we get into that trick, guys, make sure you guys smash the like button if you guys are liking these tutorials. If you're not liking the tutorials, smash the like button, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys are subscribed and leave a comment. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions, any requests. I'd gladly like to cover them. So what I'm covering in this video is Headroom. Basically, if we say that 0 dB is our ceiling, we don't want to go louder than 0 dB. Headroom is going to be, when we're mastering, we want to kind of those peaks, the overall peaks to hit, you know, they say minus 6 dB, but I think you can go higher. Steve Duda, many other people say like you can do like minus 3, minus 4 dB. And, you know, some people might say, hey, well, Ali, what about like this is 32-bit floating point audio? Yes, there's a lot of headroom with 32-bit. Yes, it can help, and you don't have to do it this way, but the classic standard mastering way is definitely having headroom in order to, and why? Because we want to reduce artifacts, we want to reduce unintended distortion, we want to reduce the amount of workload and pressure being put on those plugins, because otherwise the signal is going to be too hot or too loud going into those plugins. So when we talk about headroom, the trick that I want to show you guys is you can do this in order to just start off just on the right note so that you'll always have headroom instead of having to render your stems and bring down the level down. Because here I'm going to give you an example. Here is a track that it's an old remix of mine, Migos Night Call. No additional gain being pumped, but the mix, it doesn't have headroom. Like I'll have to bring this down, you know, this mix. And we can see here it comes around like -2. It'll probably hit like peaks every now and then. So we can see here -0.8. So a method where I would do it here, you can click and hold left control, hold your left click, select multiple, and I would bring it down a bit. Maybe I'm going to bring down to -4. And let's see what happens. Let's reset this. And you can see there now we have some more headroom. So this is an option. Of course, you guys can do that in your project, bring everything collectively down, but that can be problematic if you guys are doing any like automation of those volume sliders. That's going to be problematic because that's how I used to sidechain back in the day. Not anymore. This can also be problematic if it might change the sonic quality of the sound. Now, this is something very rare, but like, you know, as you reduce stuff, it could be to the point where it sounds different now because it's going into the plugin differently. Maybe how you heard it before, it was clipping right into the limiter and you liked it. It could have been pleasing and it might change the sonic quality slightly. So this is one way, of course. Yes, you can compensate and allow some more headroom. Let's try bringing this up a bit. If we're at 0, let's just go minus like 3.5. So yeah, this is way more than enough. I try and go for like -3, -4. In terms of headroom. That's what I'm doing with the project I'm working on, and that's where I'm going to show you guys the cool trick. So yes, of course you can compensate by bringing down the volume. So here's another project that I had, older song, and let's bring up FabFilter, and the stems are not brought down in volume. We're going to see how it peaks, and you can see here -0.5 minus like, and these are the stems as they were rendered from the original project. So what do we have to do? You can see here plus 0.3. You know, it's not the end of the world, but what I would do is just like the other one, I would click and hold control, left click, and let's bring this down like -4. And let's play the drop again. And this is nice. Could even go a bit higher, but now we have some headroom. And the thing is that, again, we're doing the same method. You can see it kind of goes from like -4 to -3. But I'm going to open the current project that I'm working on, and I'm going to show you guys, it's so easy. You can do this and just make it sound a lot easier, a lot better. And what we're going to do is essentially we're going to crank up the limiter before we actually start working on anything. Why are we doing that? Because when the limiter is cranked up the gain, like all these situations, there was 0 dB gain. It was the headroom was too much just because the stems and the overall mix had a lot of stuff going on. We had to bring them down. When we bring up and crank up the level of the gain in the limiter, what ends up happening is that now we have to compensate with quieter, lower volume items in the mix. So this is a track that I'm working on right now. I'm going to go to the drop, 45 seconds. So in this track, I have a clipper on here, and the clipper has 5.5 dB of gain cranked up. And what this does is it creates a little bit of a buffer, a little bit of a headroom gap, so that you get it the way you want it to sound. It's going to sound loud. It's going to sound, it's going to sound good. But because you crank up that knob, now everything else, it has this compensation for volume. So that way, everything going into the master is being pumped up 5.5 dB gain. And that way, you have this kind of layer in between your mixing stems. And that way, it kind of just gives you this ability of not going right so loud into the final limiter on the master. Instead, you tell the limiter to go all the way up, and then your stems are just lower in volume. So it's this compensation. So I would want you guys to try that. The next time you guys start a new project, slap on your favorite limiter, crank up the knob on the gain like 6 or 7 dB, maybe even more, 8, 9, 10 dB, and then use quieter stems. Use quieter stuff in your mixer. And the result is, if you ever want to render just that mix, you don't have to do like an additional mix down FLP. You don't have to focus on bringing down all the levels, because once you turned off that clipper, once you turned off that limiter, the overall volume is going to be much less. This one without that clipper is around like -2, -3. So we already have headroom going into it because we compensated by bumping up the gain. Something so simple, but something I can't believe I kind of overlooked. And I definitely recommend it to you guys, because I used to just slam right into the limiter, and it might not be a great idea to slam right into the limiter. Having a bit of a headroom is never a bad idea. So I hope you guys like this, and definitely if you guys need some help or what you want to do with that, I'll put a little FLP you can download as well, just the limiter cranked up. I'll put the fruity limiter if you guys want to use that. I'll put some other ones on there as well. So check that out, guys. I hope you guys like this trick for mixing, mastering, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.